Well, hey there. You have stumbled into Sister Sharpens Sister, where three sisters get together each week and talk about first one thing and then another.
She finally showed up. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hey,
All right. Welcome to another episode of Sister Sharpens Sister. Today, we are going to get into something that we need to do a disclaimer for, and that is we are not professionals of any kind. So anything that we say in this episode that you feel like you are experiencing, please go see a medical professional and get a proper diagnosis. We are just talking about things that we have experienced, read, heard about, family members have discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, we're going to be talking about edema or swelling of our lower extremities. Dee Dee, you want to start us off?
Okay. Well, when I looked into this, I asked myself some questions. The first thing I asked is what causes it. And I went to several, I went to several different sources, but I've only kept a few of them. And I went to one NHS in the UK, and I thought it would be interesting to see how they look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much the same way we look at it. So, although they will tell you that if something is very, very serious going on with you and you need to call 911, it's another number to call. It's not 911. They said you called like 111 or 888 or whatever.
It's 999.
Okay, something. I knew it was something different. So they say that common causes of swollen ankles, feet, and legs, that the swelling in the ankles, feet, and legs is often caused by a buildup of fluid in these areas. And it's like Karen said, it's called edema. Standing or sitting in the same position for too long can cause it. Eating too much salty food can cause it. Being overweight, being pregnant, taking certain medications such as blood pressure medicines, contraceptive pills, hormone therapy, antidepressants, or steroids can cause the swelling. But it can also be caused by an injury such as a strain or a sprain. They say an insect bite or sting, and I suppose you could have a swollen ankle if a hornet stings you.
Yeah, or snake
I've
bite.
experienced. Yep. Problems with your kidneys, your liver, or your heart can give you swollen extremities. Blood clots can give you swollen extremities. And of course, those last two are very serious. And, if you got heart problems, kidney problems, liver problems, or if you've got problems with your blood clotting, you can go to see a doctor. If your feet are swollen, especially if they don't normally swell, go to the ER.
Right. If it's something new that you are experiencing, you do need to go see a medical professional in order to get a proper diagnosis. Now, they may tell you, well, you sit at your computer all day long for your job, so that's why your feet are probably swelling. And there are workarounds for that.
And if that's the case, yes.
Yeah. You get up and you walk. You use a standing desk. You do leg exercises underneath your desk, like doing seated toe raises. Right? Or seated heel raises, I guess it would be, that you come up on your tippy toe, you contract your calf muscle, and that calf muscle contraction helps to move the flow of blood and lymph fluid out of your lower extremities.
Right. Now, Harvard Health says pretty much the same thing, that common causes can be pregnancy, foot ankle injury, vein insufficiency, phlebitis, deep vein thrombosis, heart failure, liver disease, kidney disease, cellulitis, bone and tendon conditions, problems with the skin and toenails, and drug side effects. That's what Harvard Health, and that's pretty much what the UK said as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we said it in our last episode, people are people, whether they live in England or Kentucky. So
this is true. But I do like sometimes, though, to see the difference.
Oh, yeah. So what about treatment?
Okay.
Now, for medical conditions such as heart, kidney, liver, if you have deep vein thrombosis or blood clots, if you are pregnant, if you have cellulitis or any of medical condition, those treatments will include a lot of times medications.
Mhm.
You might be given what we like to call a fluid pill, like Lasix or HCTZ, hydrochlorothiazide,
A
that
lot of
help you
people,
get rid of your water.
I've heard a lot of people call them just water pills. I
Water
gotta take a
pills, yeah.
water pill.
Yeah. And
Right.
the proper term for that medication is a diuretic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I found out for treatment and sticking with the same British website, they called them different things. But well, I'm calling it your primary care physician. I changed it to primary care physician. If one or both of your ankles, feet, or legs are swollen and it has not improved after treating it at home for a few days, or it gets worse. And they called it something else, but basically what I understood it to be was like an urgent care facility,
Mm-hmm.
like an urgent care facility or an ER or something like that. Is if you have swelling in one ankle, foot, or leg, and there's no obvious cause, such as an injury.
Right.
The swelling is severe, painful, or starts very suddenly. The swollen area is red or feels hot to the touch. If you have a temperature that is very high, or you feel hot and shivery, or if you have diabetes and your feet, ankles, or legs are swollen. And then
Yes.
they go on to
All
say,
right. Let me interject something here. If you
Okay.
are a diabetic, you need to be inspecting your lower extremities every single day.
Yep.
And if you cannot put your foot up on your knee to look at the bottom of your foot, use a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And be sure to check between your toes.
That's very important. Yes.
Very important. If you want to keep your feet and if you want to keep your toes, you need to keep on your toes and do that.
Yes. Absolutely. And they go on to say, and they didn't say 911. Of course, Karen, you remember there being 999.
Yeah.
But call 911 if you notice your feet are swollen and you're feeling shortness of breath or are struggling to breathe, call for 911. If your chest feels tight, heavy, or painful, call 911. If you're coughing up blood, call 911. For these issues, you could be having problems with your heart or a blood clot in your lungs,
Mm-hmm.
both of which need immediate hospital care. Now, Mount Sinai goes on and says pretty much the same thing. They say contact a medical professional or call 911 or a local emergency number if you feel short of breath, you have chest pain, especially if it feels like pressure or tightness. Contact your primary health care provider right away if you have heart disease, kidney disease, and the swelling gets worse. If you have a history of liver disease and you now have swelling in your legs or abdomen.
Mm-hmm. And you need to also notice the color of the skin that's from the knees down. If you start noticing that it gets red or purplish, or if it gets really dark,
Yep.
get thyself to the physician.
Yes, yes. And they actually do say that. It's just a little further down on their list here.
Oh, sorry.
They say, no, you're good. You're good. I think I may have mentioned this already, that if you have a history with liver disease and now you have swelling in your legs or your abdomen, go to the doctor. I said that one already. Your swollen foot or leg is red or warm to the touch. So if it's not your normal skin color, go see a doctor.
Yeah,
If you have
red
a
and warm
fever,
to the touch is an indication of a blood clot. But if you notice like it's purple, that is a circulatory issue. I mean, blood clot is a circulatory issue as well, but this is your blood is not moving from your feet back up to your heart. So,
yeah. So, and they also say that if you're pregnant and have more than just mild swelling or have a sudden increase in swelling, call your doctor, go to the doctor.
Yes. I have
have
personal experience with that, actually. With my youngest, I was working. I go into work that morning. I'm fine. I've got what I would consider the normal amount of swelling. being
Mhm.
pregnant. So I go out and I see my patients for the day, and I come back to the office. I was working home health. I come back and I'm doing my documentation and calling doctors and ordering lab reports and things like that. And a lady that I worked with, that I called my mom away from mom,
Mhm. Mhm.
because she looked after me, she said, "Are you feeling okay?" I said, "Yeah, I feel fine." She said, "Are you sure you're feeling okay?" "Yes, I feel fine." So she gets a chair and she puts my feet up in the chair, and my ankles were as big around as my thighs.
Wow.
My shoes were that tight, and I just was not paying a bit of attention to it. She checks my
Mhm.
blood pressure, and it's 220 something over 160.
Mhm.
And she says, "You're going to the emergency room." She didn't ask me. She said, "You're going
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
emergency room." I said,
Yeah.
"Okay." So I start getting my stuff together, and she says, "No, honey, you're not driving yourself." So she drove me to the emergency room, and I was preeclamptic.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's dangerous if you are pregnant.
Yes, yes, it is. So be
Yeah.
keep your eyes out for that for sure. Or if you know someone who is pregnant and they're not paying attention, like Karen wasn't paying attention, bring it to their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
be
okay to do that.
insistent. Find yourself a
Yes,
mom away from mom.
exactly. Yes. They go on to say that if you have new or worsened swelling and it's only in one leg, so swelling only in one leg could be something going on. Um, this is also contact or go see a medical provider if self-care measures do not help or swelling gets worse. Like,
So what
um,
are some things you
um,
can do at home to help with that, though?
well,
The number one
some of
tip
the
that I came across as I was doing research for this episode was to drink more water.
I found drink more water. Yes, you need to make sure you do that. That way your body can flush things out when it needs to.
Right. But I will
Uh,
interject and say that if you have problems with your kidneys, you
mhm.
still need to, if your doctor has put you on a fluid restriction, stick with that fluid restriction.
Costs more than one, but that was one of them to drink water. Um, to raise your legs or the swollen area to where it's above your heart. So is get some gentle exercise like walking to help improve your blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
Wear wide, comfortable shoes with a low heel and a soft sole is
Yeah.
recommended. Um, wash, dry, and moisturize your feet to avoid infections. So, like Karen was saying, keep a good eye on your feet.
One that I did
Um,
not see in the lists that I
mhm.
was looking at. Let me see where I went. I'll tell you. Let's see. Behealthcare.org. BEEBE healthcare.org. Was one of the sites that I went to, and then I was on like Wikipedia and different places like that. But it was never mentioned. Compression socks.
Oh, I actually have that down as a way to prevent it,
Yeah.
but you can treat it with that too. But I also went through about things that you can do to help prevent
Okay.
swollen feet, ankles, and legs.
What kind of prevention have we got?
Well, I came up with compression socks, and WebMD says the compression socks are tighter than average socks you wear. They gently squeeze your legs to help your blood flow back toward your heart. They
Mm-hmm.
help prevent your legs or your feet and ankles from swelling and help you avoid problems like blood clots, varicose veins, spider veins, deep vein thrombosis. They come in several sizes and pressures, and you can get them over the counter by prescription. Now, I will tell you that I have had swollen feet and legs before, and I've used them, and it worked. And after I had my hysterectomy, when I woke up in the hospital room, I had head hose on.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wear them for like a week or something.
Those
The only
things are
time I was allowed to take
uncomfortable.
them, they are. And the only time I was allowed to take them off is when I was taking a shower. But after I dried off and everything, I had to put them back on. And
Right.
I had to wear them, and I forget how long exactly, maybe like 5 to 7 days or something. So, and I was told that that was to help stop blood clots.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Now, if you sit for long periods of time, take a walking break.
Yep.
And Harvard Health tells us that mounting evidence suggests that prolonged sitting may be as dangerous to your health as smoking.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of fitness influencers use that, saying that sitting is the new smoking
I've
as
heard that.
far as health goes. And yeah, I think I would agree with it.
Oh yeah, it's just take a walking break. Don't take a sitting break. If you have a job where you're standing and walking all the time, you take a sitting break. You have a job where you sit all the time, take a walking break.
Yeah.
And I went to several, like I said, several websites, and what I found was that people were saying for about every 30 minutes of sitting, you're gonna need to get up and move some. And Harvard Health suggests 5 minutes. I did see a few others that said 3 minutes. So between 3 and 5 minutes, get up and walk around.
Mm-hmm.
Lifestyle changes can help prevent swelling in your feet, ankles, and legs.
Right.
Now,
Taking care and making sure that you are getting right nutrition and right movement goes a long way towards that.
yes, I went to a couple of podiatry websites, and Karen, of course, I will share all these with you so you can post them.
Sure.
Some of them said to try eating fish, leafy green vegetables, berries, and nuts. These foods possess inflammatory fighting properties due to their rich content of omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants. They also went on to say that it's important to drink enough water and not eat too much salt. They say to help maintain a healthy sodium balance, to also include foods that are high in potassium, like bananas and avocados in your diet. And keeping a healthy body weight can also help with all of that.
Now, there has been this trend going around here recently that if anybody has TikTok, what is it? Is that it? Okay. It sounded wrong for some reason. Anyway, there's a trend called water talk where people are discussing different ways to enhance, doing that in quotes in case you're just listening to audio, but enhance your water. And one of those ways is to add a sprinkling of salt.
I do this.
Now, I did run into a blog post on a site called eatingwell.com. And this journalist added a pinch of salt to water every day for 30 days, and they listed what happened. And I'm just going to hit the high points here. What happened when I added a pinch of salt to my water for 30 days? And they do say that they used between 1/8 and 1/16 teaspoon to 40 ounces of water. So it's very, very small amount.
Very little.
They said I didn't feel any different. Turns out I did not need the extra electrolytes. And because this individual didn't feel any different, like the people were saying on TikTok, she went to some health professionals and asked these questions like, why am I not feeling any different? And the response was, you're not dehydrated enough to actually need the extra salt.
Right.
It says the workout didn't improve because they're not dehydrated. And the salt water did not detox the body. If anybody says salt water detoxes your body, just please throw that information out the window because that doesn't work.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, apparently it's on Water Talk. And the bottom line, it says, while adding a pinch of salt to your water to keep yourself hydrated sounds like a simple solution, the science behind it is more nuanced. Salt provides sodium, which is an electrolyte that helps hydrate the body. However, if you're already drinking adequate water and consuming sodium with your meals, like here in America, we consume an average of 1,000 milligrams more than the recommended daily allowance for sodium intake. So if you're already getting sodium in your meals, you don't need extra salt in your water. I thought I saw the name of the person that wrote this. Kirsten Hickman.
Okay.
That's who wrote it.
Yeah. And I also read that somewhere, and it's been quite a long time since I read it, that if you want to help add electrolytes to your body because you're dehydrated or whatever, you can also add a little bit of honey to that water as well, and that will help with it. Honeyed water.
One of the best things that doctors still recommend.
Hmm.
You ready for this?
What's that?
Gatorade.
Yes.
All right.
It's got all the
Gatorade.
electrolytes in it.
Yes. For anybody that does not know, was created at the University of Florida in 1962, produced and marketed in 1965. They used it for their athletics program to keep their athletes from getting dehydrated.
Florida
Now,
Gators.
Florida Gators, that's exactly right. That's where it came from, Gatorade. And that has led to a plethora of other, what would you call that? Athletic beverage.
Electrolyte drinks.
An electrolyte drink, because you've got Pedialyte. You have all of these, what do they call it? The IV infusions that you can add. It's a little packet you can add to your water. And
All the LMNT,
yes.
Powerade, yeah.
And all of that came from a coach not wanting his football team to be dehydrated.
Yeah, but I think the mass marketing of that product kind of ruins it to a point, because they do add things that are not necessary. Like
right. And you want to know when that happened? That happened.
90s?
That happened when it became distributed and manufactured by Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's next?
Well, and I asked, and I've got personal experience with this next one, and I'll talk to you about that. And it's happened here recently within the past couple months. I said, what about processed foods?
Ooh.
And the University of Chicago Medicine, it's like their medical school, said that the standard American diet is pro-inflammatory because it's rich in ultra-processed foods and red meat and low in fruits and vegetables. All processed foods can cause inflammation. They can alter the bacteria that live in our gut, and that alteration has the ability to interact with our immune system and eventually trigger it in a way that leads to chronic inflammation.
Right. I disagree.
They say
I disagree with the red meat, though.
The red meat is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
Well, those are saying red meat, but
Red
my
meat in
answer to that
McDonald's
is
burgers.
don't eat red meat every day. Don't eat it every day. Eat it a couple times a week. The thing is that, and one of the websites I went to is they say don't pinpoint specific foods and say good, bad, good, bad. You need a good, balanced, healthy diet. And that's going to include fruits and vegetables and nuts and certain types of oils and seafood. And it's going to include some red meat. Just don't eat it every day.
One thing that they don't mention that I think should be mentioned is the omega-6 fatty acids.
They
the vegetable oils that are used are highly inflammatory.
Yes.
Right. I was going to say that I'm thinking that somewhere in my research that did come up.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've come across it yet.
I'm about to go back to the 1960s way of cooking and eating, and that's using lard.
I've got lard in my kitchen right now.
Tallow.
Beef tallow, yes.
Ghee.
Pork
just
fat.
Butter. Just butter.
Butter.
Yeah.
I have one can of Pam in my cabinet, and I'm not buying any more when this one goes out. My husband uses it. I don't use it.
I only have a can of it because our mother had a buy one get one free sale, and so she gave me one.
I'm sorry, I was reading something here. A can of what?
Pam.
Pam keeps our food from sticking.
Right?
Yep.
Why do I need to use Pam in a non-stick skillet to begin with? That doesn't make any sense. Just use an iron skillet that's been seasoned well.
Right.
Anyway, it's just the food in this country overall is not food anymore.
Yeah,
no, a lot of it's not. They go on to talk about gluten, and they talk about people who have celiac disease, or if you have like a gluten intolerance, they say that that could cause inflammation. But if you don't have that intolerance or the celiac disease, you're going to be fine. Okay. Harvard Medical School, because when I went online and I got this information, the Harvard Medical School says, "Hey, do you want to be part of our email list and get information about health and fitness?" I said yes. So they sent me something. They say foods that fight inflammation, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some oils and fatty fish, and they say olive oil, flaxseed oil, and fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel offer healthy doses of omega-3 fatty acids, which have long been shown to reduce inflammation. And I love this last one they have on here. Coffee, coffee, cocoa, and green tea.
Well, they're probably
The
talking about black coffee.
probably. They didn't say that though, but they have coffee on it. They say that the polyphenols in coffee and the flavonols in cocoa are thought to have anti-inflammatory properties. Green tea is also rich in both polyphenols and antioxidants. Foods that can fuel inflammation, sugary sodas, refined carbohydrates, red meats and processed foods, certain components of ingredients used in processed foods, such as the emulsifiers added to ice cream, may have effects on inflammation. Such foods are also likely to contribute to weight gain, which itself can be bad for inflammation. Here it is. They're the one that talks about the key to reducing and the key to reducing inflammation with your diet is to practice anti-inflammatory eating. It's best to focus on an overall healthy diet rather than singling out individual good and bad foods. In general, a healthy diet means one that emphasizes fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains, fish, and healthy oils, and limits food loaded in simple sugars like soda and candy. Beverages that contain high fructose corn syrup, like juices and sports drinks, and refined carbohydrates. So, and Shalon talked about the vegetable oils. I did have something in all my research about that, but apparently I missed it going over it. I got a lot of stuff in here.
So do either of you experience edema?
Well, I said that I've got personal experience with processed foods and swelling and inflammation. Okay, because it's been within the past few months. For a long time now, I've been trying to get rid of processed foods, and it's been very hard for me to do. But I've more or less done it to where most of the time I don't take in anything processed unless my blood sugar is low and I need juice, something like that. And I went for more than 2 weeks straight, nothing processed, nothing.
But then,
for whatever reason, I forgot to get my fresh fruit prepared for my lunch the next day. So I had some stuff left in the cabinet that was processed. I took it and I ate it. And the same thing happened the next day. So I did the same thing and I took it and I ate it. And guess what happened?
you started
My
feeling
feet
bad.
so I started not feeling right. My feet, although they're swollen at the end of the day, they were way more swollen than they were when I was not eating the processed foods. And I started feeling pain and inflammation in my hands and wrists so bad it was waking me up at night.
Yeah.
So I cut it out again, and within like the next morning, everything wasn't gone, but it felt much better. And by the next day, I still have issues with my hands and wrists, but it's nowhere near like it is when I'm throwing those processed foods in my face.
Right. What about you, Shalon?
Not really. The only time I remember experiencing like significant swelling in my feet and up in my calves was when I was pregnant. And more so when I was pregnant at the end of baby number 2. I actually had a bit of pitting edema when I got to the end of her pregnancy. But I mean, other than that, no. I mean, unless I sprained my ankle, of course you're going to swell with that. But no, I don't. That kind of inflammation on my lower extremities is not something that I really deal with. That's something I will notice is my hands swelling. But again, that's when I've decided, like Dee just said, decided to dive into the processed food bag. And I do have a book. It's called Back to Eden.
Yeah.
The Classic Guide to Herbal Medicine, Natural Foods, and Home Remedies. And I can list off what they suggest for swelling.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of herbs that they suggest. Some of them I've never even heard of. Burdock, which I've never heard of. Comfrey, heard of that one. Elder, fenugreek, hops, mugwort, organum, parsley, tansy, white oak bark, white lily, wintergreen, wood sage, wormwood, yellow dock, chamomile, and dill. And I was looking at, because then it lists what you can use for swelling, and then it tells you in this other section how to use those things and what those particular ones are specifically good for. Not all of them are good for the swelling in the hand or in the extremities. Like some of them are better for swelling, for like comfrey is really good for inflammation in the lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh gosh, okay. Let me go back. But I did find that fenugreek is a good one to be used for inflammation. And then also chamomile, however you want to pronounce it.
I like that too.
As a general use for inflammation. And
all right.
There is also a suggestion in here about paraffin baths to help with pain in your hands and wrists and your feet and your ankles.
So they're talking about wax, paraffin wax?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read that before. Yeah.
I used to have one of those little paraffin warmers. That I used it for a long time and then it quit working.
And they say it's specifically useful for arthritis. It result to relieve sprains and strains and painful joints and gout. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
I was just going to give you all the information on this book.
Yes, please. Back to Eden. Who's the author?
Okay.
Actually,
it says The Authentic Kloss Family Back to Eden. Jethro Kloss, Kloss. The Classic Guide to Herbal Medicine, Natural Foods, and Home Remedies since 1939. I do have an updated edition of it. Jethro Kloss was an herbalist, a food scientist, an inventor, lecturer, writer, teacher, most widely known as an advocate in Corporation for Natural Healing Resources. And it cost a whopping $11.
Yeah, I'm making myself a note.
It's interesting you brought that up because here
she's thick.
this spring I've been going in my yard and taking pictures of natural wildflowers and plants I'm seeing growing, and I'm figuring out what they are and seeing what the medicinal purposes are for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this thing is loaded with things, even recipes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it has recipes, for like if you just got sick with your stomach, a recipe to help you feel better after that and replenish your electrolytes and such.
I know it's one thing to know that this thing is good to fix this with your body, and it's natural. So how do I process it? Do I just eat it, or do I dry it? Do I make it tea? What do I do?
It tells you everything.
So the information is out there.
Yeah. You just got to be willing to look for it and do it. See, I don't have a book. I'm doing it the hard way.
I wanted something on paper.
Well, I'm going out and taking pictures, and I'm making a spreadsheet with my stuff in it. And this is the time of the year that I got these. Right now I'm just doing pictures. I'm not collecting anything. And this is, that saw these in April, and I saw these in March or whatever. And write in what the medicinal purposes are for them, and then I look up how do you use them, and I put that down.
So are you using an app to identify the plant?
Yes.
What app is that?
Yes. I'm using Google Lens initially.
Okay.
But that's just my first step to identify what they are, because some of them look very similar.
Right.
So when I take my pictures, I'll get a picture of like the whole plant, but then I'll get up close shots of the leaves and of the flowers. Because on some of them, the leaves will have maybe like 4 points and some will have 5 points. So you have to look at this, or some will have a serrated edge and some won't. Or the flower will have 5 petals or 4 petals or 6 petals. So I get close up shots of them. And then I find on Google Lens, I find something and then I go start looking. So, and I've got a website stored somewhere for the state of Tennessee provides it for wildflowers and plants and things like that that are in this state where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have an app on my phone. I forget what it was called, that I could take a picture of a plant and it would identify it for me.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I
several
used to
out
have
there
one too.
on the Play Store, or if you use whatever the Apple version of that is. Oh, let's see, what else we got?
Well, I did include a little bit of information about the difference between a sprain and a strain.
A sprain and a strain.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
According to MayoClinic.org, a sprain is a stretching or tearing of a ligament, which are the tough bands of fibrous tissue that connect two bones together in your joints.
Mm-hmm.
The most common location for a sprain of this type is in your ankle. And I went to Medline Plus to find out about a strain. A strain is when a muscle is stretched too much and part of it tears. It's also called a pulled muscle. A strain is a painful injury. It can be caused by an accident, overusing a muscle, or using a muscle in the wrong way. And Healthline.com tells us that the symptoms of the two injuries are very similar. The main difference is that with a sprain, you may have bruising around the affected joint or where you have the sprain. Whereas with a strain, you may have spasms in whatever muscle is close to where your strain is. So,
well, do we have anything else for edema?
no, that's about it. I mean, we were focusing primarily on our lower extremities, so there's other kinds of edema, like Shalon mentioned in her hands and stuff. But
yeah,
so we were concentrating on the feet, ankles, and legs. So
right. Regardless of where it is, like you can wake up with swollen hands. I do that every morning.
Mm-hmm.
But once I get up and I start moving them, things go back to normal. That's just arthritis. Not a whole lot to be done for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say there's any number of different things that could be causing your swelling, but if you're concerned about it, go to your doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go see somebody and they can do whatever testing or examining or send you to specialist or whatever needs to happen to figure out what's going on.
Right. Because if you don't know what's causing it, it's worth at least having your labs done to check your electrolytes to see what's up.
Yeah. And for me, knowing what's causing it is a huge relief.
Yeah.
Because once you know what's causing it, then you're going to know how to treat it. Right. I mean, we gave people some home remedy ideas that may or may not work depending on what's causing it. So knowing exactly what's causing it is a very good step to fixing it.
Right. Yeah. What is next week? Next week is Father's Day. That we record on Sundays. Next Sunday is Father's Day. So we will not be recording because, celebrate fathers. I mean, we are women, but still, we celebrate the men in our lives. So we'll be taking that day off. And the week after that, well, we haven't decided yet.
No, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
All right. This Thursday, I am leaving West Virginia and headed to Florida.
Oh, yay.
I get to go get my nails done.
Yes, you do.
Well, all right. I will
Cool.
talk to you guys in the chat. I will see you on Thursday or Friday. Well, it'll be Friday because we won't get there until Thursday, late Thursday night. So,
Right. So we'll plan on coming over Friday for dinner then.
all right. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome.
All right. I love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye. Oh,
Bye.
Judy.
Oh, yeah.
I still love that.
Talk to you later. Bye.